Welcome to Bulletcast, the Bullet Catcher Gaming Podcast. In this episode, we'll be talking about the general condition and free to play in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Today's special guest is Gmoney Mozart, Red Right Hand, Dr. Kraken, Tyrant Slayer, Knuckles, and me, Grandpa 8 Up, that was given to me today, which will be returning back tomorrow, and your host, Andy from Bullet Catcher Gaming.
Thank you very much, Marcus. Yeah, big thank you to start with to Gmoney for jumping on. I imagine that most people who watch this channel will also watch Gmoney. So really excellent channel. The link to his channel will be in the description below. Please go and check him out. Subscribe. He makes some fantastic content. So we're going to be talking about the current state of the game, effectively. And the reason why we bring this up is because I don't think I've seen so many comments in the last few weeks as people saying that they've got things disappearing from their game, things are broken. And this comes after the recent patch, which was to implement fixes for some of these issues. And it appears that they haven't all worked. So we're going to discuss that. And a few people have asked us to talk about Ubisoft's kind of future plans with some of their franchises to take them down the free-to-play route and discuss whether we think that's a good idea, bad idea, whatever. So we'll start with that first, and I think we'll go to our special guest first, which is Gmoney. What do you think, just as an overall basis, of Ubisoft wanting to go down this route of free to play? Do you think that it's just going to be certain franchises they'd touch? Do you think this could be multiple franchises they might do this to? Maybe stick with things like Assassin's Creed as not being that kind of game. But do you think Ghost Recon, for example, is in danger of maybe falling into that category?
All right. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Here's what really frightens me. I really think that Ghost Recon as a franchise at this point is going to take a back seat to the other third-person title that Ubisoft makes, which is The Division. As we all know, Heartland will be coming out as the first free-to-play game out of all of their IPs. Now, as we saw with Breakpoint, they really tried to copy the Division format in a way. And as you know, people were crazy. The community went crazy. We got immersive mode and all that. But they did try to push the game in that direction, which leads me to believe that Ubisoft as a whole, from the top down, wants to push these games in that looter shooter direction, because when you have people chasing loot, when you have people chasing items, you can maximize profits with a free-to-play game. So what better way to do it than with a Division game? And if you have a failure like Breakpoint, we might not even be lucky. Like, I'm not saying it's good or bad at this point. We might not even be lucky enough to get a free-to-play Ghost Recon game, let alone a new Ghost Recon game to play. So I'm not sure about whether or not Ghost Recon will be lucky enough to have a free-to-play game. I'm worried right now to even think that the Division might be Ubisoft's crown jewel moving forward, because they're looking at and we're looking at a free-to-play Heartland. Then they're going to bring it to mobile. I think there's a book coming out, and they have a Netflix Division series. At this point in time, who cares about Ghost Recon other than the selected few of us who keep playing the game, who want to see a great Ghost Recon game, when everything that Ubisoft is doing seems to showcase that they're focusing on the Division?
That makes perfect sense. That's a really good explanation. So let me ask you one more question. So what you've just said there regards to the Division and gear score being implemented as to kind of max out the monetization. So what do you think? Do you think that Breakpoint's taking a backseat effectively because Ubisoft said that they recognized that the fans didn't want gear score in Breakpoint and then made a promise to not implement it again? Do you think that harms Ghost Recon and the fact that they've made a promise that they wouldn't implement it again?
I don't think it harms it, and I believe that title update 4.0 kind of not proves that it doesn't harm it because I don't know the numbers, but they could just as easily with Ghost Recon give us mediocre content and push skins and in-store items for us to purchase, new cosmetics. Ghost Recon can have cool cosmetics as well. But when you have a legit looter shooter, and I don't know if anyone else plays the Division or Division 2, they really cycle uh I guess you could call them seasons, but basically every I think few months or so there will be a new gear that you can grind, and if you don't get it in time, if you don't get enough keys to unlock boxes to get the gear, what happens is all that gear goes into the store that you can purchase. So they have a nice little model with the Division, and I think they might have the backing of Ubisoft. I don't know if it's management or the top guys or whoever's in charge of wanting to push their games in that direction. So I mean, I still think you can have a successful Ghost Recon with an in-game store and selling skins. Hey, as a content creator, I went and bought the skins in Title Update 4.0. Even if I wasn't a content creator, I probably would have bought Knock and at the very least Valkyrie because I thought they looked cool. And I think seeing Wildlands, I think we all remember, although we had to get them in loot crates, Wildlands has so many skins that I think if Ubisoft, Paris were able to make all those skins, or at least that many skins, and put them in Breakpoint or at least a successful Ghost Recon title, they would make tons of money. And I think Fortnite proves that model, a free game with a bunch of people just buying skins over and over and over again. So there's definitely room for monetization. You just have to make a good game that millions of people play.
No, good point. Anyone else want to jump in on this free to play? Whether you think it's a good idea, bad idea?
Well, I see. If you look at just the Call of Duty Warzone, that is a free to play. You don't even have to have either one of the two current ones that are out. And they're making tons of money off of the seasons as well. Because you got, 100 classes that you can get, and then you get characters, you get XP, you get weapons and skins. I mean, you get tons of stuff in that game as well. So I can see it working, but it's got to first be a good game.
Do you think though that if they're going to make this work, let's say that they're, let's say that there is going to be a Ghost Recon game in the future, which is going to be free to play. Do you think though that the emphasis of the game will push towards PvP over PvE? Because most people, not all, obviously, because there's a lot of people that like to play Ghost War in Wildlands, because Ghost War in Wildlands worked really well. But Ghost War in Breakpoint does not work very well. It's not balanced. There's loads of issues with it. Do you think, though, that does it work a free-to-play PvE game? Because if you look at most free-to-play games and the way that they're monetized towards PvP. So would it end up changing Ghost Recon? Would it not really be Ghost Recon anymore?
I don't think they can do it with Ghost Recon at this point in time. I think Ghost Recon as a franchise is too damaged. They need to come back with a heavy hitter game that's going to showcase to people just like how grandpa just like how grandpa that's going to be his name the entire podcast. Just like how grandpa was saying, look, Warzone works. Why does Warzone work? Because Activision dropped a Call of Duty every single year for the past, I don't know how many years, and they have right? So they have a dedicated fan base to where when they launch the free PvP 100-player battle royale or whatever you want to call it, they already have a community of people that jump right on it. Right now, nobody's jumping on Ghost Recon. No, like if they released a free to play game, whether it's PvE, PvP, PvE/PvP, do they really have the community to really back that up to monetize it well? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd like to add that
I
a little
love-
bit too. I agree with what both Grandpa and G have both said. Um, but even though that the Warzone is very popular, they still take a lot of shit for having the monetization options in there. And Ghost Recon is not in a good place, whereas Call of Duty started off in a good place. I don't think Ghost Recon will benefit at all, having even further damage done to their name. I mean, they're not starting off on a good foot. Plus, they're going to make themselves a martyr for people who absolutely just hate on the monetization options. I don't think it's going to put it in a good spot.
There was a lot of criticism recently after. I mean, Gmoney was talking about the fact that he's a content creator, so he purchased all of the skins. I'll be honest, I purchased them all as well, but there is a lot of people who are unhappy with how much stuff was in the store. I mean, I get asked on YouTube all the time with people saying to me, "Do you think that at some point they'll put these in Maria's shop?" And it's like, I can't see it. They're giving out content this year for free. They're going to need to make some money somewhere. They've got staff working on this stuff. They have to pay these people.
Yeah.
I just can't see it happening. They are a business, so why would they give it to you for free when they can put it in the store?
Some of that too was the exorbitant amount of money that they're asking for, like the custom M4A1. That's just beyond ridiculous.
That was crazy.
$20 for. So, in a second, I will check this to see the exact amount charged for the gun. So it was 2,800 ghost coins in the pack, and then also the custom M4A1. So before I cast judgment on that one, I'm going to look up how much 2,800 ghost coins are for, the real life money conversion. But yeah, that is still a lot of cash.
I think it's $20.
Yeah,
$20.
It's
okay, so
basically
you're
buying ghost coins and getting the gun for free. But what they're doing is they're locking into ghost coins, which is money that you wouldn't normally have spent if it was just 600 or 900 ghost coins.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know how to really feel about that, because what I've just started doing with the update is just throw down for whatever the most expensive ghost coin amount is, so I don't need to buy anymore, so I can just clear out the real life cash shop. But
Hang on, did you just say you bought the most expensive? Isn't that like $80?
Okay, second most. Sorry, second most.
I was going to say, whoa, you put down $80.
Well, I put $80 into it a long time ago.
I put that down one time when I made some bad financial decisions. I don't want to talk about that. Okay. I spent $200 in video games and microtransactions that week. I don't want to go back to that week, man. That was a bad week.
Jesus. Okay.
I mean, here's a weird thing about it. As far as Ghost Recon, getting back to Call of Duty, I've lost players to Warzone just because it's not fast enough. It's too slow. It's only 4 people. I can't rank up fast. Stuff like that. And
I kind of agree with that, sadly.
I mean, I don't mind the rank up portion, because if you just play regularly, then you're going to eventually just rank up. But if you don't pay attention to it, just play the game. People are looking for the fast and quick run and gun of Call of Duty.
Yeah. And but they're two different audiences.
Yeah, I mean, true enough, Call of Duty's been around for 20 years, and they've had at one point three studios working on it. So that's why almost every third year you'd have Activision popping out a new game, because they had 3 years to work on it.
And
I'm just saying that they attract a different style of player.
Yeah.
100%. And one of the things that I find interesting is if you look at a game like Modern Warfare, because let's be honest, the Call of Duty franchise was going in a certain direction up until Modern Warfare. I think most people would agree with that. Even the most hardened, die-hard Call of Duty fans would probably say it was getting stale. And I think they knew that. So that's why they went back to Modern Warfare. But if you look at Modern Warfare, they don't just have PvP players in mind. Okay, the campaign wasn't very long, but it was good. I did think for a campaign, it was a decent campaign. it was very good, and they also gave you plenty of PvP stuff to do. They brought back some classic maps, but then they added loads of extras in there. Like I personally, what I played more than anything on Modern Warfare, playing online with other people, was the operations. And I know that they did the smaller ones, but you had the really big operations where you had to go and do certain things. And a couple of them, the one that you had to then put the bomb on the train at the end, that was, fuck me, that was hard. That was not easy. The amount of times I got right to the end and you got killed, but so they had lots of different people covered. If you don't want to play PvP, you had this great PvE experience online as well. Whereas we don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have that in Ghost Recon. We have a PvE for 4 players, and that's it really. Yes, there's a PvP, but it's at this point just been tacked on as. I mean, when's the last time that the PvP was even updated? I believe off the top of my head, it was February last year.
Gee.
I think it was the Terminator update.
They've seen some new maps. I think they introduced maybe 1 or 2 maps each time that they've done an update, but no real technology fixes or other updates. Just they're cycling.
There hasn't been any new maps though for a long time.
Well, I don't play PvP, but I do watch. I can't remember his name on YouTube, but he's been mentioning about the new maps that have been coming in the last couple of updates. And there's only 1 or 2 each update. It's really slow. It trickles out.
Because the last one I remember them adding was on the Terminator update. That was the last new map I remember them adding. And that is a long time ago. About February last year. I'm sure that was the last one. I could be wrong. But I thought, going by it as I go through the notes inside and out for videos, I've not seen any new PvP maps added off the top of my head since the Terminator event. And that's crazy. The game had only been out for 5 months at that point. You can't stop supporting the PvP after 5 months.
Well, you want to know what makes it even more pathetic? The fact that they aren't even dedicated PvP maps. They're just parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So you mean to tell me that you guys can't just clip off parts of the world and just add more maps? That doesn't make any sense, which means it's basically they're telling us through their actions, hey guys, we don't care about this PvP. We do not care about Ghost Recon PvP. Then when, like I said before, then when they turn around and they say, hey everyone, we have a free-to-play Division game. I think every Ghost Recon fan should be sitting there like, yo, WTF, what the hell's going on here? Like, our PvP is trash. Our game is falling apart. The Division is new. It's a game that just came out in 2016. You have 2 iterations of it already, and boom, a free game for them. Boom, a mobile game that's going to come out for them. Boom, a novel for them. Boom, a Netflix series for them. Like, yo, as a Ghost Recon fan, and I played the Division, but as a Ghost Recon fan, watching movies like Act of Valor, right? Like, how does it not click in Ubisoft's head? God, you have the Clancy IP. Go back and watch Clear and Present Danger, Patriot Games, Hunt for Red October. I mean, look what Amazon just tried to do with. What was it with Michael B. Jordan, Without Remorse? Now, I thought that was a bad movie, but they tried to do something Clancy. My point being is that how does the Division get all of this and Ghost Recon is just left in the dust? It's worrisome. It's worrisome.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. It feels like an insult.
Yeah. To go down having Tom Clancy IP in their back pocket to make something really good. I 100% agree that it's not fair to the Ghost Recon players. Granted, I'm the new person to the franchise. I started with Wildlands. To go back to the Call of Duty subject we were on earlier, a big thing for me that, in my opinion, which is why Modern Warfare 1 and 2 are so popular, The villains were really good. Same with 3. I think Makarov, Shepard, and Zakayev all killed it. They're actors. Looking at Breakpoint compared to Wildlands, Sueño and Walker are really their only heavy hitters in terms of like drawing people into the series. I don't really think that's a great thing. You have Stone, who's been there since the beginning, and he was kind of boring in episode 3, I hate to say. He switched to the maniacal psycho, which to me felt a little forced, not a character. And back to Bukharov, the other main villain in episode 3, he was kind of just there for being the new head of Ravensrock / Bodark, the Russian version of Ghost Recon. These all former Alpha Group ultra badasses. They kind of all were not really that intimidating, you know? And looking at the strategist in episode 2, he wasn't that great either, in my opinion. He was fun, but not as strong of a lead as Walker or Sueño.
But nothing sets them apart. Like none of that. You're literally spot on. And when you talked about Modern Warfare and what made that franchise so important in the first place, I definitely think you're right. There were good enemies in that game, but what made those games? It was one of the first shooters that you actually cared about the characters that you were playing as,
and played actual special forces too.
Yeah, but you actually did care about these characters. Like I can remember the moment.
Everyone knows Price.
And I remember the moment when Soap dies, and you're like,
"Oh, it's hard, man."
Yeah, and you remember moments like that because they made you care about the characters in the single player, and the single player campaigns were good fun. You know, they were could be challenging on the hardest settings, but they were good fun. Yeah, they're all mad explosion-y kind of missions, but it was fun. People really enjoyed it, and of course, the PvP is what just launched that game into the stratosphere. But going back to what you just said, one of the biggest issues with Breakpoint, and we've talked about this before, the villains in Breakpoint are not good. They're just
because they have to stack up to Sueño, to put it bluntly, and he is a good character.
Well, all the characters lack charisma. We've talked about this before. If they had some charisma to them, people may actually give a damn.
But even Nomad has no charisma in Breakpoint.
Back in Wildlands, he was fucking hilarious. Forgive the language, but
exactly. But he's a completely different character. He's a totally different person in Breakpoint. Not obviously just with voice actor, but he has no sense of humor whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, has he ever? I think I've heard him laugh once.
Maybe.
Perhaps in a cutscene. Maybe he did a mini chuckle.
At the very end of the game, when you killed Walker, and then you go and attack the sub, and then he gives a little quick chuckle because he's drinking beer with everybody else. We do have a guest in the waiting room wanting to ask a question.
Okay, bring the guest in. Winter Gamer, bring him in. He's got his hand up. He wants to ask a question. So
quick, my impression of Nomad's laugh. Huh.
But his laugh sounds the same as him falling down some rocks. Ugh.
Yeah, pretty much.
But with free-to-play games, I wanted to ask, would cheating be a big problem? Because with already with the PvP and Breakpoint, everybody's running around in circles with their airsoft mask on. Kind of ruins the experience. And if you got cheaters on top of that, how much is that going to compound to make it into like not as much of an enjoyable experience?
That's a good point.
That is a really good point, actually. Yeah, I mean, it's all about the experience, isn't it? If they make it free to play, they would have to do it in a certain way. I think you've got to make sure that the Ghost Recon community is on board with it. That whatever it is going to like it. I go back. I think Gmoney hit the nail on the head. Before I think they can even think about ever doing this with Ghost Recon, they have got to redeem the franchise with an absolute standout Ghost Recon game and start introducing some of the things that people have been requesting for a long time. Rappelling from helicopters and all that kind of stuff. Like, we won't go through the list because it's long. But the things that people have asked for again and again and again, and add some of those things in, take us back to a more realistic setting. I think most people want to see more NPCs back in the game, more like Wildlands, effectively. Whether it's a Wildlands sequel, whatever, a completely new game, whatever, they've just got to redeem themselves first. I'm totally on board with that. I totally agree with that. They can't do a free to play until they have fixed the franchise first. That's what I think.
Since I'm assuming Ubisoft will listen in probably to this podcast, because this is a lot about improvements and fixes, I will put this the easiest way from both a video game and movie perspective from my experience to what you're saying, Andy. Take a look at films like, as we've said, Act of Valor, Lone Survivor, movies with actual characters representing operatives with a decent amount of knowledge. For example, Act of Valor is all current Navy SEALs, as in they were in the service in the film. So if you want as realistic because they handle their guns, that's as real as it gets. Now, that should not be your only frame of reference, but from a movie, that's my example. Of course, Ghost Recon is not only SEALs, but you know what I'm saying, guys. From a video game perspective, there are 2 video games, at least in CQB or CQC, that I can think of by name, that if they implemented even half of the stuff these games have, but in more of a military style, people would be over the moon. And I'm going to list them by name. SWAT 4 and Rainbow Six Vegas 2. One of which Ubisoft has made.
The memories.
When I think of CQC for commands, those 2 games shoot to the top of my list as fast as it can get.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Well, leading.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say. No, go ahead, bro. Finish.
I was just going to say, and those are my examples, and take it from here, boys. Pretty much all I want to say.
No, because I was going to say, going back to Winter Gamers, like his original question about cheating, especially with what we see with free to play, for what we see in Breakpoint PvP, will something like the Division Heartland be successful? It all depends on whether or not Red Storm Entertainment is on top of their game, and if the game has traction and people are playing it and supporting it and they're bringing in money, then the developers will support it even more to the best of their ability to ensure that cheaters don't ruin their game. And that goes across the board for any game, really. I think if Breakpoint was a success, or the next Ghost Recon game is a success, you have to have developers that are going to consistently work on things like PvP and figure out how to best implement anti-cheat programs or software, etc.
Yeah, that
I
just
agree,
gets
'cause
exemplified
with,
if they go crossplay too, off the charts.
Sorry, say that again, Tyrant.
Well, I was just saying that would be even more exemplified if they go crossplay with the free to plays, because then it's just the cheating is going to be off the charts.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, because obviously we already know that it's easier to cheat on certain systems than it is others.
PC, with all due respect, in my opinion, is the easiest.
Oh yeah, of course, PC.
Of course it is. Because it just the way that the game is developed for each platform, it's always going to be harder to cheat. I mean, I follow a couple of. I used to play Rainbow Six Siege a lot for years, and there are certain channels out there who openly say, very openly, that on PC it is full of just people cheating left, right, and center. And then when they jump over and to play it on console, they're shocked with how little cheating there actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a difference between cheating and exploits. Exploits are going to be on every system, but cheating, where you're actually installing software to wedge into your network layer and change the way that things work, and wedge into your video card driver so you can see people through walls. I mean, these are all real things that happen on the PC that you just can't do on a console.
Yeah.
But once you open that up for crossplay, it's fair game, because now you're going to get guys in there that have the capability to cheat, not just exploit, but cheat, versus guys who have no option to cheat.
But see, you still have the option, again, going back to the Warzone, you can have option to separate everybody console only. So you can
that would be pretty nice. Just implement that where you choose what you choose. The server is built for that system. That'd be an easy way to fix it.
Well, to break it to you,
have that now.
I mean, that's why it's there.
They have that with Warzone right now.
Keyboard.
Yeah, they have that with Warzone right now, whereas you can have it with just console. And I believe you you can play PlayStation and Xbox, but naturally, you can't play, with the same person. From what I can remember, if it's Xbox versus PlayStation, I don't know if you can play in that, but I do know that you can play console with PC because I have a friend that had a PC, and when I was playing Warzone for a while, we were able to play together. So
And to go back to
So, is there anything that you think that they could do for? Let's say that they're going to do a free-to-play Ghost Recon.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Go on.
No, right? What are we talking about? Crossplay, right?
Yeah.
They
Yes,
could
sir.
barely make a game that works, let alone give us crossplay. When I see them do crossplay, then maybe we could talk. I mean, I remember they released an article a while back talking about crossplay, and I made a video on it. And I was like, "Oh, we're finally gonna get crossplay," and they were gonna support Breakpoint. I think this might have been even before Valhalla and Legion came out, and they were saying moving forward we're gonna have crossplay, and then they reneged on it.
Yep.
And
About
none
a
of that
week
even
later.
happened. Yeah, so even sitting here talking about crossplay this or that, like I don't even know if that's it. I don't know. It's like it's so far fetched. We still have a 4v4. Like who cares? Wow, crossplay, PC, Xbox, and PlayStation can play together. There's only 8 of us.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. That is
But I
ridiculous.
mean,
Okay,
that's where
just
the industry's
from,
going, though. So
from your point there, G-Money, didn't they actually, if correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they actually say at E3 that that Breakpoint was going to be cross-play?
Was maybe that
I
was
don't.
that the year of 2019?
Yes,
That
I'm
was
sure they said it
They
was going to
might,
be
yes, they
cross-play.
might have. They might have. I don't
Well,
remember. I just remember the article
I
because I
remember them
made the
announcing
video. I have the
crossplay and
article
then
up.
telling you to go to the website to see which games are going to be supported. And about
Yes,
first week or
exactly.
two, Ghost Recon was on there, and then it just suddenly disappeared.
So, I mean, we could talk about crossplay all we want, but at the end of the day, you got we're talking about Call of Duty. We got heavy hitters. Call of Duty is out there. Apex Legends is still big. We gotta have developers out there giving us these immense free to play huge games, and Ubisoft comes out and they say, okay, you get the Division. Like, congratulations, you have the Division. No mention of crossplay, and it's like what 40? I think it's a 40-player PvP or something.
So,
Yeah,
G-Money,
well,
what did you make of the leaks a few weeks ago? This so-called Battle Cat leaks about
Battlefield.
the yeah. Did you see
Oh,
those?
you talking about the Heartland leaks that were on YouTube?
The ones where it showed Division, Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell characters in this game. It
Oh,
was
you talking about the Twitter?
yeah, and it got
The
taken
Twitter leaks?
down
It got
straight
taken
away.
down. Yeah,
What did you think about that? Did you think that was serious, or do you think it was that there's just no way and it was made up?
no, it probably is serious because let's look at this. Let's look at this objectively. Like literally, how does Ubisoft operate? They can't seem to think of anything on their own. So honestly, I do believe they will have a kind of heroes type of game that resembles something like Overwatch or even what they're kind of doing with Rainbow Six, where they'll take all of their franchises and make one big game where you could play all of the quote unquote heroes. Like I'm a Ghost, I'm Echelon, I'm Rainbow, and you're all fighting together, fighting against each other. I wouldn't doubt it because that's basically what it sounded like. Like it was going to be something like that, and I wouldn't doubt that they would do something like that because I don't know. It seems like they look at where the industry is and okay, let's go over there. Oh, the industry is over here. Let's go that way. Oh, the industry's moved over here. Let's go that way. God forbid they push the industry in a direction where people say, "Holy shit, look what Ubisoft is doing."
Do you think
not innovate?
exactly that? Do you think Rainbow Six Extraction is a good example of Ubisoft not listening to what people want? Because obviously, when Siege came out, what everybody was actually crying out for was some kind of campaign or story to go with these characters. and they've finally delivered a new game where you're getting a story and a way to, have these characters and get to know these characters more that you've kind of fallen in love with if you play Siege, of course. And then they've made them fighting aliens.
I don't know. I think it's a perfect example of what I just said. The entire industry is killing zombies or aliens or whatever you want to call it, and then you have some people at Ubisoft, God knows how they got the job or whatever, and they're like, let's make a Rainbow Six alien movie, and the people are, alien video game, and the people around them are like, yeah, that's a great idea. Because they have no idea what the Clancy IP is, and they're pushing these IPs towards where they feel the industry or I guess the people who are going to purchase their games where they feel it is right now. And I guess we're not the main audience. It's I don't know. This is why every topic I'm scared. I'm worried, whether it's seeing the Division get pushed or seeing Rainbow Six Extraction get pushed with aliens, or like what you said with the leak, where it looks like a big, a big conglomeration of, a collaboration of all these games that are coming together. And I think it was a first person as well, if I remember correctly. It's not even a third person game. They were literally taking Splinter Cell, The Division, Ghost Recon. I wasn't. Were they doing also Rainbow, and they were going to mix it up as it was going to be a first person game or something? Like I don't even know what they're doing anymore. You're taking all your successful third person games, making a first person game with it's just a mess in my opinion. Everything they do is backwards in my opinion. I would love to see a development studio with heart and love for the tactical shooter, for the squad based tactical shooter, to get their hands on the Clancy IP to see what they could do with it, or to see if someone like the studio that was making I believe 06, which I don't even know if that's ever going to come out. I'd like to see maybe some people get a shot at this genre, but it seems like nobody wants to. All we're getting are alien games and zombie games, and who knows, maybe this genre is slowly dying a slow death, and we're the only people trying to keep it alive or resuscitate it, but there's just not enough of us. We're just not the target audience anymore.
Well, I'm hoping that it's actually going to be Sony who come to the rescue with this, because all of the info, all of the leaks, and the guy who is renowned for leaking Sony info and getting it right pretty much every time has said that they've been making the new SOCOM game for 5 years.
Yeah, don't tease me. I won't believe that until I see it.
But I also think that it was never going to be a game, because people are going, well, if they've been making it for 5 years, they would have shown a teaser or something. I don't necessarily think so, because at the moment they can't sell PS5 fast enough. Like, they just can't sell them because they're never in stock.
Yeah.
So I think they will, before they start putting games that they've spent 5 years making out, or 6 years maybe by the time it comes out, they're going to want to make sure the install base, because it won't come out on PlayStation 4. Let's be honest. If the leak,
nor should it.
No, they're going to want to make sure that the install base is far bigger than it currently is now, and obviously they can't make them fast enough. So that's why I think certain games that we may have seen previously, possibly, I know that they blame COVID for a lot of the development issues and manufacturing issues, but SOCOM, a new SOCOM, and if the rumors are true, it's going to be like near on photorealistic, and it's going to be third person.
I don't know.
I mean, if it could still be terrible. We just don't know. But it's supposedly got the guy from. It's been made by Gorilla, and it's got the guy from who helped develop Rainbow Six Siege initially, and he's jumped on board now and is helping run that game. So, I mean, it might not be out for another 3 years. Who knows? But if it's already been in development for 5 years, you would imagine that you would see it in at least the next year, 2. It can't surely be like pushing to like 8 years worth of development. That's
Well,
crazy.
well, from a developer
I don't know
standpoint
about
too,
Knuckles, you're getting bad feedback.
they're gonna have
Yeah,
to.
I muted him because it was coming through
Yeah,
badly.
but from a development
Bullet
standpoint, 5
catcher,
years
I have a
isn't actually
question.
that much because they're gonna have to go through and revamp. They're gonna have to build their own engine for that, and that's no small feat either. So I mean, that could easily take up 2-3 years of development time before they even start getting assets into the game.
That's very true.
We got two
So-
people in the audience.
Quick question for SOCOM, the new SOCOM game. Is it going to be very linear, or is it going to be more of an open world?
To be fair, no one knows.
It's gonna be
Because-
it's gonna be nothing. It's gonna be the same as the next Splinter Cell game. It's gonna be in our imagination.
Because the
You're
thing
not
with, I think,
kidding
with
about that
Ghost
Splinter Cell
Recon,
thing.
with
It
Ghost
was-
Recon right now, it has no competition, and that's probably why the devs are like, "Oh, there's no other studio making an open world, third person tactical shooter. We can slack off. They're still gonna suck their wallets up to us." But if they had competition, surely they'd whip right into shape, making this great first person, or well, now third person shooter, because it's just they have no competition at whatsoever.
Yo, Knuckles, you gotta mute your mic, bro.
Yeah, I wish that I agreed with you, Winter, but I hate to say it. I've turned to Tyrant and Tyrant Slayer's opinion. At this point, Ubisoft just doesn't give a shit. That's my honest opinion. That's my opinion. Hate to say it, Winter.
Yeah.
If UB really did care, they'd make good on that, at least in my opinion, pretty goddamn simple promise they made us at the start of Year 2's content. Like a few weeks prior to the roadmap, even that little teaser on Twitter coming out, their exact words are, at least with Delta Company, we're going to be giving you up to speed every step of the way. And from what Andy and other Delta tubers have said, that is not even close to the damn case.
Yeah, that's
And
kind
the
of
fact-
sad.
And the fact they can't make good on that simple of a request, and that is pretty fucking simple. Just,
Yeah.
hey, can I have your email? Or can I have, I don't know, some piece of way to send you this information? Send them some pictures, send them some files, send them some grid maps. I don't know, something. Like, hey, this is what we're doing, and there you go. It's not a lot.
Yeah,
Nope,
I agree.
you want to know? We want to know what Delta Company is right now. I mean, and I know you guys are privy to information that's great, but if you want to know, get down to the real meat of what Delta Company is, look no further than what they used Delta Company members for the 4.0 title update, right? So they gave Delta Company members all of these
Oh yeah, the codes. Yeah,
all these
that's-
codes, right? They had a big quote unquote raffle, whatever, come to their streams, look at them on Twitter, follow them, try to get a code, got everybody amped up. And then what do? They drop it in the in-game store for money. So you have the psychology of all these people, right, who want this. And now, oh my God, now we don't get it. Oh, now it's in the store. It was supposed to be something for communication between the community, communication between the community and the developer. Meanwhile, a Delta Company member is never ever on YouTube or on the forum saying, "Hey guys, this is what's going on now." Why? Because the community managers or community developers, those are the people who bring us info. So what the hell is really the point of Delta other than to go into the Discord and be like, "Hey, what's going on here? What's going?" And I know Bullet's probably privy to that, but when does Bullet come out a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before we know something and say, "Yo, guys, this is the info we're getting"? Never, because they're probably like, "Hey, this is what's happening, and you're under NDA, so shut up." So the whole community developer communicating with each other, it's like it's so broken at this point. And what do we have? We have basically Delta Company members ripping their hair out trying to get the attention of developers to hey, this is what the community wants, this is what the community is saying, give us some feedback, what's going on. And it's like, oh, we'll let you know. And then a community developer comes on the forums or on Reddit and is like, "Hey guys, we got this awesome update, teammate experience, and you don't have to control your teammates. I know everybody's been saying you won't control your teammates, but don't worry about it. They have moves now and abilities and you can't control when it goes off, but don't worry because we're listening, blah 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 blah." It's like, I'm tired of it. I'm surprised everybody's not tired of it at this point.
Insert the
Oh, I think
struggle
we
of
all are.
Andy here.
Yeah, because so just going back to what you were talking about. So one of the things that was brought up earlier was obviously the weapon that was given away in the loot drop thing. Now, obviously, I don't speak for anyone else in Delta, but what I will say is that there were a lot of us who turned around and said that we didn't feel that this was going to go down too well.
Well, yeah, and especially the way it happened afterwards, where they threw it in the in-game store for $20.
Yeah,
Lo
it
and
was
behold, you guys
shady.
were right.
it's I kind of understood the sentiment, and I probably had some of the worst comments I've ever had on YouTube over that. There was few people that were like, so you think you're like a famous YouTuber and you're special because you're getting it. And I kind of looked at it.
Yeah, you got to ignore those types of people.
Yeah, but I looked
Those
at it
two are
slightly. I
special.
looked at it slightly differently. I looked at it as on the point that look, these things were there, and they were offering them out, and I could have turned around and said no thanks, but if I'd have said no thanks, they would have just been given to somebody else. I didn't use them once to try and go, come and see me on this live stream. I didn't use them like that. I tried to give them out.
Exactly, dude.
as-
Not you guys, them. Ubisoft. What I'm saying is that the connection between the community and the developer supposedly through Delta in 4.0, it showcases that it turned in for them using Delta as a marketing ploy to get people anticipating this amazing M4A1 survival skin that has all these wraps on it and it looks so cool and so many people get hyped about it. Oh, I'm going to try to win. That looks amazing. And then bam, what do? They put it in the store. Like that is super shady compared to what they originally really promoted Delta to be, which was this, unification between the developers and the community coming together as one through this Delta company membership that, you could apply to and try to get into. And it's kind of like, at this point, how can anybody look at anything of what Ubisoft Paris, or not so much the developers, but the people in charge are doing and say like, oh yeah, they have our best interest in heart, or the interest in this franchise or this genre. Like you guys said, they just don't care. They don't care. And I feel like it shows.
Well,
because it is really, I'll be honest, sorry, just really quickly, Jeremy, before you come in. So the thing that's really hard to talk about on this is, like you said, you can't, there are things that I would love to say and I can't say them. And
Yeah, of course.
it's actually, it's not like, oh yeah, I know stuff that other people do, because I can't stand all that stuff.
Yo,
to be honest.
but Bullet, imagine, dude, right? There's some things you can't say. How does that help community and developer interaction?
I completely agree with you.
Right? It's like, hello,
agree with you.
let me get feedback from the community. No, you're under NDA until the thing drops. Well, that doesn't make sense.
Exactly. Like I try and make a lot of videos based around people's feedback. So things that they want, things that they don't want, things that they, things that are like fixed, whatever. I do try it and be there for the community, but I can't be there for the community the other way around. Like realistically, from what you're saying, what would make sense is if they came to us and said, look, here's the next update. The next update's in 4 weeks' time. Next week, we're going to give you this information and you can share it with people or something like that. It should be, they should be able, and even if they didn't give it to Delta, I'm not saying they necessarily even need to give it to us. I just think that once a month, minimum, they should be saying to people, like, for example, the update that's coming in fall. Realistically, they're saying that it's going to be this big update and it's going to be about replayability and all this kind of stuff. This is from their own words on the website. We don't know anything about that currently in public knowledge. We don't know anything about it. Surely they should be trying to get people interested, because a lot of people were disappointed with the AI Teammates update. They completed the challenges in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was
and we're like,
Yeah,
that was it. It did not go down well. It really didn't. There was a lot of hype, but it did not land for a lot of people.
It was a monetization patch. That's all it was.
It was. I have to agree totally.
And the biggest failure from that update, I know it's been talked a lot about. We all agree about it. The Mark 18. That's all I'm going to say. I think in saying that, I've said enough.
Okay,
Yeah.
but
why is the 516 on the Mark 18? What the hell, guys? Come on. It's right there by the charging handle. I can see it. Why is it still there? And better yet, the Cobb one and the 516 has the Daniel Defense grip now instead of its original grip. And you can still see where the, because I believe it's got whatever pistol grip model they have for it, where it extends up above where you'd grip your thumb. You can still see where it's supposed to be there, but it's just the same shade as the rest of the receiver.
Oh, but the stats are the same as the 516 as well. They're exactly the same. They're identical. They didn't even change them.
Which to go back to that is another thing about this. Here's my other question. To go back to fixes/improvements, if they wanted a new signature firearm that was an assault rifle for Nomad, that is in the general caliber, which is what the 516 or 516 Shorty was planned to be in the promotional material, why didn't they just keep him having the ACR like he did in Wildlands? You talk about most wanted assault rifles from Wildlands. The top of the list is the M16A4, the Daniel Defense Mark 18, and the ACR. They have the rights to the Silver Stake. Why didn't they just give the Silver Stake a different name, like CQC or Assault variant, make it in 5.56, and base it off the ACR variant that looks similar to the Silver Stake, which Tyrant Slayer 01 knows more about the rifle system I'm referring to than I do. But that would have solved a lot of the problems of, hey, we have the ACR, we just couldn't get the right to the name at the launch of the game. But that's for a different discussion, so I'm going to stop that there. That's just a way, in my opinion, to improve and make people happy. That was what that was meant to be.
Okay, now you look. I wanted to say this before you guys went off on the guns, which is a whole other conversation, and it was still about the connection between Delta and the developers. Because let me ask you this, right? Wouldn't it have made sense? This is what I think Delta should have been used for. Not only can the community managers, community developers ask questions on Reddit or the forums, but to really have your Delta company members engage across all, the entire spectrum, whether they're on Twitter, the forums, whether they're on YouTube. For me, it would have made more sense 6 months out, 8 months out, however long it took them to develop this, to say, okay, guys, this is what we have. This is all under NDA, but this is what we want you guys to talk about. What type of abilities would the community like to see their AI teammates have? And then Delta company members can go out and say, so blah, 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 so if we were to get abilities for our teammates, what would you guys like? This, that, and the other. And then we could actually have a dialogue between the community and the developers. So when Fury, Fixit, and Vasily came out with their abilities, they could have had actual feedback to what the community might have preferred as abilities. But it's almost as if the most littlest or minute things that might actually change the way they develop the game, they won't consider. They don't want feedback from the community. They're going to do whatever they want to do. I think the biggest thing they were able to do was the immersion experience, which they were just able to tweak a thing here and there. But when it actually comes down to developing something hardcore, it's like they don't use Delta the way I feel like they should be used, which is to gather all the info from the community and bring it back to them so there could actually be an exchange of ideas, so we don't get a Breakpoint 2.0 or Breakpoint DLC, which is just like the launch of Breakpoint, which is what 4.0 felt like. It's kind of to the point where it's a moot point at this point.
Well, I think the groupthink there changed quite drastically once it was determined that Breakpoint was a failure. I think they had good intentions for Delta. However, after that, they were either underused or misused as a marketing tool. I think they had every intention of gathering information from players. I think their focus right now is getting new players. and they're trying to do that by mimicking other successful IPs.
I mean, I try and gather intel as such. Like recently, the last few months, I've made numerous videos, and Jeremy and I have followed them up with a few follow-up videos based off of the weapons that people want in the game. And we collected a lot of information, and they were some of our most commented videos ever. And we had so many suggestions, and then we made follow-up videos based on, we kind of counted that down and shortened the list a little bit to the favorites and stuff. And I did pass those on. I passed those videos on hoping that they, but as far as what I can do, I'm not a massive channel, not by a long shot, but that's as far as I can. That's all I can really do. There is no outreach program as such. Like Gmoney was saying, they realistically, like Gmoney just said, what would be ideal is that they say, look, we're thinking of adding 4 new weapons into the game on this next update. We already know what 2 of them are, but we'd like to put 2 that the community want. And then you go out and you make videos and you make contents and talk about them on streams and stuff and collect that intel and that data and then pass it back. And then the guns that come up the most, as Red Right Hand said, the ACR, for example, the ACR,
the M16A4.
Yeah, but the ACR as well. The ACR is probably the gun that comes up the most across, probably more than any other. That and the Mark 18 before it was added, if you want to call it a Mark 18. Those were the 2 weapons that I saw more than anything else on comments. Where are they? Why have we not got them? And you can keep passing that information back, but obviously we have zero control over what's passed back. I don't know what's passed back, whether it's anyone watches it. I don't know if anyone listens to it. I just don't know. But I will pass things back, and I know other people pass things back. I know A Squad passes things back. They certain people are at least trying to make content based around feedback that to listen to the community. I mean, A Squad's done it on a future game and try to gather as much intel from people and pass that back. The problem is that, and this is not coming from me, but this has come from other people. I was on a live stream, I think, from Rota B Gaming a few months ago, and he kept saying to me, why are only, why were all the Delta members set up right at the beginning? Like, because lots of them don't cover the game anymore. So why are they still in Delta? And it's like, I can't answer that. I can't speak for other people. I don't know. There's quite a few people in Delta, and it's split across different countries. I don't tend to watch, South American YouTubers or that don't speak English. I watch English speaking YouTubers because I speak English. But do you see what I mean? So I don't know what kind of content that they're making. I haven't got a clue.
It's because Delta's managed the same way as Ubisoft is, like shit.
Yeah, I'll agree with that subject. How UB is right now, 100%. Regret that statement. Sorry.
So yeah, I apologize. I haven't been speaking for any of this, but I think that one of the main issues that brought up was the fact that after the focus or the attention kind of pushed away from Breakpoint after it started to not do as well as they thought they did, I believe they started moving their focus elsewhere to try to redeem themselves and to try to keep the revenue up. So that's where the focus shifted to Valhalla, and that's why there's a lot of these other games that are getting a lot more content than we're getting realistically. Because 6 months for an update, 9 months for an update, like that's like GTA status right now after 6 years of being online. Whereas we're just now reaching year 2 content, and we're getting to the point where we're just barely getting trickled just minuscule stuff. Like we've been asking for a gun that's literally been in the previous installment of the Ghost Recon franchise for what, 2 years now? and it wouldn't have been that difficult for them to just put it in there. But realistically speaking, like, that's their little trickled attempt to keep some revenue in this game. If they hold back on giving us the stuff that we absolutely want and the things that would make this game good, I think if they feel if they give it all to us right away, then we're going to get it, we're going to process it, we're going to play the hell out of it, then we're going to get bored of it and put it down, because that's what gamers do. That's what we're good at. And then we're going to go find some place else to spend our money, realistically.
But something keeps bringing us back to this game, doesn't it? Because this is the thing, we're getting frustrated with this game, and the reason why we get frustrated is because we do love the game and we see the potential in the game and the franchise as a whole. There's so much potential in Ghost Recon. This is what really pisses people off, is that why aren't you doing these things? Why is it so, we know that there are errors made at the beginning of the game. We don't need to go into them. Everyone knows what they are.
Exactly.
But those errors have, I wonder where we would be if those errors hadn't have been made. If the game was more like Wildlands from the offset, maybe not the drones, because that was obviously there from the start and part of their story. And I know a lot of people don't like drones, but they're there. Even if the drones were in there, if there was no gear score and a lot of these other things that people didn't like, if they weren't there from the get-go, do you think we'd be in a different situation now? Do you think we would be getting more content? Do you think we would have had more camos, skins, guns? Do you think there would just be a lot more, or do you think we'd still be where we are now?
You'd probably get more because they're not trying to fix the problems that they created, because that way they can actually focus on new stuff instead of, I guess, what would be the word? Not resurrecting, but redoing their wrongs.
No, we'd be in the same place. We'd be in the same place.
So my theory on that bullet catcher is, yes, we would get all the content we wanted. Yes, we would have all the things that, all the fantasy things that we would like to have. But realistically, like, everybody who's diehard fans of Tom Clancy, his novels, his universe, and what we have as an expectation for this universe to be, is not fulfilling the goal that even Tom Clancy wanted for his universe. Like, they're pretty much making him roll over in his grave right now, even though he's, you know what I mean? Just for the simple fact that, like, they took something that he held so majestic and they're just running it through the mud, because they're doing exactly what Gmoney said earlier, and they're taking a great product with a great franchise, and then they're just doing whatever the hell they want with it, and it's just whatever is the most appealing at that particular time. And I feel like they need to focus more on what makes Tom Clancy universes the Tom Clancy universe, like what makes it good and why it's a fulfilling product, versus what's gonna sell better. Because I feel like if they focus on making the product that we're all looking for, that they're gonna realize it's gonna sell faster than what's the most popular at the time. Because that's what a lot of game companies do, and that's where they're falling short, is because they're trying to make people happy with short-term solutions, but they're not focusing on long-term objectives that will pay them dividends on the back end, because that's what's had games like Skyrim and games like The Witcher 3 play well for 5, 6, 7, almost 10 years past their lifespan, because they're just good games and people play the hell out of them because they stuck true to what they believed in, and they just held what a quality product is supposed to be, regardless of its small issues or whatever. Like, we've all grown up playing video games with glitches, with bugs, with all these other problems, but that's what makes the game good. That's what makes us appreciate the game, because of its little quirks, because of the things that happen, and we can do that with Breakpoint. And for the most part, that's what we do. We appreciate the game for what it is, and its quirks and everything that comes, all of its flaws that come with it, and then we just move on. Like, we understand that there's a certain point that we can bitch about it until it's not going to get better, and we just play it for what it is. But if video game companies expect to actually produce quality products and find sources of revenue that are going to last for the long-term period, they're going to have to start looking at their formula of is the concept of this going to last, or is it just popular at the time?
To jump in on that, look at just looking at a past game. Look at the SOCOM series. They came out with what 6 games, not counting the Vitas or anything of that, the handheld devices. But they came out with 6 games, and they had a huge following. And I think Gmoney, you even said, "Don't even tease me about SOCOM." So I'm going off of that. You were a SOCOM player as well. But look at all the glitches that were in all of the games that were at least online capable of playing. That was what, 3 combined assault, confrontation, and 4. 4 of the 6 were online games that you can at least talk to people. Out of all of those games, look at all the glitches. But you went back every night. You played 6, 7 hours on a weekday. When it came out on Tuesday, you stayed up all night just to play it with glitches and all.
Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2 online were quite bug heavy, but I still played those games every night without fail. They were awesome games, amazing games, and it really frustrates me that they're Ubisoft games, and yet games from back then you could stack up your team on a doorway in third person, but you can't on Breakpoint. And I know it's an open world game, and people will say it's a different style of game. But it doesn't matter. They could do it then, but they don't want to do it now, and that's the kind of thing that frustrates me. It's things like that. I think one of the other things as well is that I do wonder if Ubisoft really struggle with the balance of hardcore players and casual players, because they need both. For a game to sell very well, they need both. And I understand that obviously there's a lot of hardcore, what I would call hardcore players in Breakpoint that like to play. Most people that I play with play no hard on the hardest difficulty. A lot of people would class that as hardcore players. That's debatable, but that's what I think people are calling hardcore. Mill sims, stuff like that. But at the same time, every single week, without fail, and I'm not knocking these people because they're entitled to their opinion, I get people going, I wish there was a zombies mode in Breakpoint.
Those people, I
Wasn't
just
that
ignore
one
them.
Easter egg?
So hold on. So we laugh at these people and we think it's funny, but like realistically, like people want what's popular. People want what they know, and honestly, a lot of us, Grandpa and Tyrant more specifically included, we're a dying breed. We're not the demographic that they're trying to sell to. We were there well before zombie modes. We were there well before everything else, and so we're from the SOCOM era where we want those nice hardcore Navy SEAL games and stuff like that. What I feel Ubisoft would be better to do would be to divide and conquer their audience. So they need to realize that the Tom Clancy, Breakpoint, Wildlands, those kind of series, they're starting to they need to start to realize that it's more of the hardcore demographic, the more of the older demographic that's wanting that hardcore experience. And I think they need to push maybe not so much towards like a Demon Souls, Dark Souls kind of version, but you know what I mean? Like make it the actual like hardcore fantasy that us like Milsim challenge types, yeah, are into. And then go ahead and shift maybe a game like The Division, because we all know what a steaming pile of casual that is, and shift that more towards zombie modes and all kinds of other shit that those people are popular to, and let them divide. Like just split them like the Red Sea and just let them go their own separate directions. Because one, the hardcore community will flaunt towards this game, knowing that it's good and knowing that it produces a quality product, and probably even fulfill the sales they're trying to make in it. And then things like the Division Heartland that's coming out will automatically get like the majority of the COD base or whatever, community that likes the casual style play, and they'll flaunt towards that and fill that void. And so if they start, instead of trying to shift down the happy medium, they need to start pushing towards the extremes like other AAA developers are doing, and they're probably actually going to start getting better results out of that.
Do you not think it's also a case of if it's not broken, don't fix it? Because Wildlands sold 15 million copies, so clearly that game did something right. And obviously, I don't know the sales figures for Breakpoint. I think I did actually Google them a few weeks ago, and I couldn't really find a definitive answer anywhere. But obviously, that's also
I'd hate them too.
You can't trust numbers. I mean, even recently when they came out and said that, I think it was it 1.8 million players played Amber Sky. The issue with that is that they did a free weekend, and there are a lot of people playing Breakpoint that are using the Friends Pass. So you don't even have to. You can bring your friends on. You don't even have to
Here's my argument for that.
own the game. But so we have no idea what the sales numbers have ever been for Breakpoint. I think it's impossible to say. But all we know is that it's nowhere near what Wildlands was, which means that there was too big a departure from Wildlands to Breakpoint. And some people say they don't listen to reviews. Clearly, people do listen to reviews, because where are those 15 million people who bought Wildlands? They clearly didn't all buy Breakpoint for a reason. So what they need to look going forward is, what did they do right? Now, am I saying that I love Wildlands? Is it perfect? No, it isn't. But it was a great experience, and it was certainly a far superior experience than Breakpoint is. And what they should have done is taken Wildlands and just added small details to Wildlands to improve it. Improve the PvP, make it bigger, better, more people. They should have added some of the smaller things, some of the things that I do like about Breakpoint, the ability to, prone camo, for example, added things like that, gone in and it works on the enemy AI a little bit more. Things like that it didn't need a lot. They had a good basis there for a great series moving forward, and all they had to do is perfect it. But instead, they have taken a huge step backwards. And I don't know whether they're going to be able to step forward far enough to even get back to the point of where they were in Wildlands, let alone surpass it.
Exactly. I was having a conversation about this in your server yesterday, actually, in Sandy's Armory. It was more so about guns, but we're not going to go off on that tangent, since it's more specifically targeted to bugs and issues. Like Wildlands like had its bugs and it had problems, but the problem therein lies is that they didn't fix any of those problems moving in, but you can see there's very clear evidence that there's a lot of direct imports from Wildlands, vehicles, mechanics, things like that. And so instead of taking the time to realize, like you were saying, the problems with those and like where they did really, really well and where they did really bad, and fixing that to kind of like narrow that gap a little bit and create a good base for this game before they added on all the additional stuff that made it what Breakpoint is, like the prone camo and all that additional stuff. What they did is they added a bunch of features on top of a not so great formula and created a complicated, much more buggy system that we're beginning to noticing because we're coming from the base platform. We're coming from what Breakpoint was, or what it built itself off of. And so now we just see the layers of complexity sitting over the top of it that are just making it worse and worse, because those layers aren't doing anything better to the game. They're just emphasizing the problems that already existed, because things like bullet drop, things like weapon ballistics, mechanics, movement, like they've had to fix the way that the character moves, like four or five different times, just to make it look even remotely realistic. Whereas if they could have perfected that formula moving into it, before they added on the additional layers like leaning and the cover system and stuff like that, they could have maybe built a better platform and actually probably launched with a lot more content, because they would have had less work to do on the back end. But now all they've had to do is just play play catch up. And that's really all Ubisoft has been doing with this, is just playing catch up with all of the mechanics and issues that they've had over the like 5 years that they've been developing this formula, and then not actually getting any traction on it.
Do you know what I think perplexes people with this game? Is that when they go and add things that people didn't need and didn't want as well. I mean, did anybody, I can't remember when it came in, but it definitely didn't exist, at least for the first 6 to 8 months of the game's life cycle, that they randomly suddenly added this sticky cover. I mean, where did that come from, and who decided that it was a good idea? I mean, I've found that mine is worse lately than it's ever been. That you literally feel like if you're next to a wall, the wall is pulling you towards it. And it's so frustrating. And it's like, what? That was not in there at the beginning.
No,
No, because it came from the Division.
Also, to piggyback off of things not wanted or that no one really asked for, I'm going to draw a line in the sand. And this is no disrespect to Gmoney or to you, Andy. Who thought Titan drones were a good idea? I'm going to name that specific aspect of the raid.
Wait, why is that disrespect to me?
And me.
Because I know you both played it before, and I didn't want you guys to think that I have an issue with you guys enjoying it if you did.
Oh, because we've played the raid, you mean?
Yeah.
Loads of people have played the raid, not just us. We're not the only two people.
I
shit on the raid.
Hated it.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
So here's what I will say. Here's how I think the raid could have done well. And this is a fixer improvement, maybe coming in year 2 that Andy hasn't been told about. Maybe they are adding year 2 and they are using Moa Island. I know Tyrant Slayer's made his opinion clear on that being possible, and I respect it.
Year
but
3,
if it's gonna,
maybe.
Year 3, I meant. Yeah, you guys know what I'm saying.
They've
Paid
confirmed
DLC,
it's not coming in year 2. They've confirmed.
Yeah, they've confirmed.
Paid DLC, I'll come out and say it. Paid DLC in year 3, if we were to get it. If they were to do a raid 2 and they wanted to make people happy, here's how I would do it step by step. I'm going to lay this out here and now, because if Ubisoft does decide to get off their fucking high horse and take all the help Andy's been trying to give them and fucking listen to the damn video, sorry you have to cut out the cursing, Andy. I'll stop that now. If they actually decide to listen to the stuff Andy's been giving them, here's a formula that, in my opinion, 100% will work. You keep the intel gathering, you keep the bases, Titan drones are gone, and instead of a boss fight, it's a timer, like with the faction missions. Maybe it's a little bit longer, and they add the chevrons back from Wildlands, but instead of Unidad, it's Blood Wolves, and specifically the Blood Wolf variant in the raid. So coming from someone who's done free roam on Golem Island and done live fire missions on whatever difficulty it is on the raid, I've done the testing, and I've done one-to-one damage comparisons. Blood Wolves in the raid compared to Blood Wolves on Golem Island and free roam deal an ass ton more damage. It is insane how hard they hit. I respect that's because it's in a raid. Now imagine fighting droves of them, not getting harder in damage, but maybe harder in a tactical aspect. Now that would probably be the hardest part to program. How do you show their tactics getting more aggressive without looking like idiots running towards the man with the machine gun? Direct quote, run away from the man with the machine gun. But moving on, how do you make that, implement that? That part would be the hard part to figure out. But make the Blood Wolves look like they are changing up their tactics as the chevrons increase in order to raise the difficulty similar to a boss fight, without having a robot with a ridiculous amount of health that, in my opinion, a behemoth would would accomplish Titan Drone's job a hell of a lot better and be a lot cheaper to make.
Red.
Because I don't know about you guys, Ed 209 is pretty small.
Red.
What about if they
no
use more like
but
gear?
we've covered all this in the what we'd like to see in Breakpoint, and we're a little long on the tooth right now. So
Yeah, let's kind of finish off by talking about some of the actual bugs that are in the game currently. Because one of the issues that's come up is that there's a lot of really sad Xbox players out there, and I don't mean that they're sad because they've got an Xbox. I mean they're sad because Breakpoint is not performing well on Xboxes at the moment. I've been inundated with people commenting saying that their game is just broken.
Yeah.
And even you messaged me, Red Hand, the other day and said to me, my game is broken. When is the update coming? And I said, to fix all this. And I said, the update was the other day. And you're like, well, I've done that one already. And it didn't fix anything for you at all, did it?
So, funny story about that. Apparently, Ubisoft had the bright idea to just make an upload to Twitter, and I think you, Terrence Slayer, is the person who posted that in general. Thank you, by the way, if that was you. I could be wrong. They told people on Twitter, and without telling anyone about it, without making any news about it, I turned off Breakpoint for a few hours, and I went to bed. And apparently, they had this update ready to go, and it came out overnight. I personally wouldn't recommend doing that. If an update has a major problem, maybe you should tell your community, hey, we had this update ready to go as a purge. If this bug did come about with this update, it did. We're going to launch it for you guys. If you have your auto update ready to go, it'll download while you're asleep. If you're in this time zone, etc.
That was not a Ghost Recon specific issue. That was an issue with their servers that affected multiple games. So
Gotcha.
that wasn't a Ghost Recon thing.
Yeah, that was where the player save got deleted, right?
I don't think they were actually deleted. I think they were inaccessible. They were having spotty connectivity, so it looked like they were gone. But apparently, I haven't seen anybody since that said that their profile was permanently damaged.
Yeah,
I'd like to know if Gmoney has got his strike designator back.
Oh, so you didn't, dude? So, oh man. So this is
you opened a ticket, didn't you?
Dude, all right. So this is what I did. First of all, I opened a ticket back in November. Okay. And that was after I just, didn't have it for a while. I was like, I have to open a ticket. What's going on here? I opened a ticket in November. There's back and forth with customer support or whatever the hell it is. And I said that we're not technically like quote unquote closing the ticket, but we're looking into it and there's nothing we could do further. So I sat on it. I basically that's it. I don't have it. I don't know when it's coming. When 4.0 came out, it had specifically, they fixed the strike designator bug. Well, maybe they fixed it for people who obtain it now, but mine still was not fixed. It's gone. Not only is my strike designator gone on that profile, my Trey Stone skin is completely locked. I beat all of episode 3. I beat the Trey Stone mission. I live streamed it. It's on the interwebs. It's all and I can't unlock Trey Stone either. So what I did, I said, okay, Ubisoft, let's play a little game. Who's going to do this first? Can I go from gear score 0 back to 300, beat everything and get my strike designator, or will you fix your fucking game? And what did I do? As like what Red Right has just been saying, he's been seeing me play the raid. Dude, I made a new profile. I played the entire game again. I played the Terminator again. I played episode 2 again. I played the Rebel thing again. I got my strike designator. I beat episode 3. I unlocked Trey Stone's skin on the new profile. The only thing I haven't done is Amber Sky. And I've been raiding with Havoc Gaming, getting my gear score back up to 300 and acquiring all the gear that I had on my first profile. So my first profile that I've been playing since day 1, I'm not even using anymore. I had to make a new profile to get all the things that they couldn't fix.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat.
You haven't got it either, have you?
I lost mine. I lost mine the day after the update came. We spent an hour and a half, went through all all the missions, and I got it. And the day after, it had disappeared, and it's never reappeared
Yep.
since.
You have to do what do you raid, Tyrant?
No.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, if you want it, I would just start a new character.
Well, I'll be honest. I could give a shit less about the strike designator. We don't use any of that stuff in our games.
Okay, I like bomb the guys out in the jungle. I like dropping bombs right on their head.
But we had Knuckles on earlier, and we lost him due to a bad connection that he had. But he was saying before the podcast started that he's on Xbox, and he said that he's lost his Mark 18 and one other weapon completely. There's no blueprint for it. It's gone.
M4A1 Survival, he said.
Yeah, the M4A1 Survival, they're gone.
Yeah.
And obviously the M4A1 Survival, once you've lost that, as we've discussed, you've got to pay $20 to get it back, but you can't get them back. They are completely gone. And I said to him, "What, the blueprint?" And he says, "Yeah, the blueprint is gone." I mean, that is a major. How can the blueprint be gone?
I see a conspiracy forming. Next thing you know, they're gonna have the strike designator for $20 on the store.
You want to know? You want to know what I would like to say? That is kind of sad for me to say this, but it's true.
That's funny.
If that happened to a raid weapon, I cannot imagine how fast that would be patched compared to a baseline game weapon that anyone can get. That's
What
fine.
do you mean?
No. If it disappeared, you're saying?
Yeah, like if the Coblin or Boss G12 or name a raid gun.
No,
game.
I can literally tell you right now that's not true, because I had to open a ticket with Ubisoft because my Coblin disappeared, and
Okay.
I never got it back.
Because you know why, right? Because it's the other way around, right? So right hand is right, he just has it backwards. If by some chance the Coblin popped up in your blueprints out of nowhere, or all of a sudden everybody had a Coblin, they would patch that shit the next day, and your Coblin would be gone.
So fast your head would spin.
Yeah.
They're more concerned about. I'm sorry. Seems like they're more concerned about fucking people over than they are making things right.
Yeah.
Not seems like, in my opinion, they are. I'll be honest. I'm getting to a point with Ubisoft, and I'm getting there faster than I'd like to admit.
It's the same reason they keep abusing this games as a service and going in and tweaking the rules every damn day. I mean, they're different every day. And
I'm just gonna give a quick
can't
shout out
can't
to
adapt
DM
to that.
Marklet. Miss you. Loved you. I'm sad that you're gone.
Yeah, see?
It was
example.
fun doing the raids with the DM Marklet.
But in all fairness, how long did it take them to get rid of it the first
about a
time?
year.
That should have been patched within days.
No. Gamers are relentless. We will do anything that we can to find any exploit. Like, there are literally entire communities dedicated to exploiting the absolute shit out of GTA, and they do it every day, all the time. They get paid money to do it. Like, it is an effort, a significant effort, because we do everything that we can to enjoy the game with absolutely no restrictions. And all game companies want to do is just give us the experience that they want us to have, not let us enjoy these games and exploit the hell out of them. Why? Because it's fun. Because shooting somebody with 250 damage and watching them just completely explode is fun. Running around and shooting wolves in the face and, killing the boss raids, because what are we hurting? Who cares? What does it matter? Like, you're not losing money.
You've paid for the game.
Yeah,
you own the game. You paid for it, and those weapons are there to be unlocked one way or another, effectively.
I've paid for the whole $60. I'm going to use the whole $60. Like, and
because there is a definite issue with the raid weapons. I know that Red Right Hand brings this up a lot, but loads of people bring this up a lot. And even we've recently done some of the videos on what people thought were the best weapons in the game, and there are raid weapons in the top 5, but the amount of people who say they don't have them, it's a huge number of people who don't have them. And it's for multiple reasons that they don't have them. They don't like the raid. They've tried it. They don't get on with it. Whatever those reasons are, they don't have them. And the number one thing that people probably ask regards to weapons is, do you think eventually they will put them in the store? I mean,
They always do. So
I think
So-
it will be the end of the life cycle, the very end. No
point
more
where I would-
updates to come. They
I'm
might.
at-
They might do
I'm
it.
at the point where if it was to be the raid item pack, as in it had all the cosmetics, all of the guns, everything in the raid, patches, you name it, I'm at the point with Breakpoint where I'd be willing to pay up to $45 with tax of $46. They haven't gotten me to 50 yet,
Don't give
but I'm
them
at
ideas.
that point.
Wow.
So
Why don't you just go and do the raid and get it for free?
I already have two prime examples as to why they're going to do that. One, the first season of the faction missions, because they ended up screwing that up so bad they just gave us all the rewards anyways. And two, the first season of the raids. They screwed that up so bad that they eventually gave us all of the cosmetic rewards that you can earn in the chest after they gave it to, after they opened up Golem Island. So, needless to say, every major significant mistake that they've always managed to screw up, they've always tried to compensate it with giving us literally every reward that they have in their pockets at the time to make up for it.
Yeah.
But they refuse to give up the Coblin and the
Well,
Cerberus and
I think they're holding
real quick.
those to pay out as penance for the next time they put out an update and nobody can get online for 3 days.
Yeah.
here's a
Um,
free Coblin for everyone.
So
Yep,
I-
the Coblin, the CSFP ball, the CTMMG ball, the Boss G12, the
Alright, so-
M82 Cerberus, and the MGL Quantum and the Control and Vector.
Now here's a glitch that's been popping up recently on my end. Not to change on that, but I know we're getting close to the end. Is a drone detected? You could come out of death and then automatically have a drone detected. No one has a drone out. We just came out of a killed in action scene.
Really?
Huh.
So it's saying that you've been detected even though you've just died and you've only just respawned back. I've not seen that one, I must admit.
Yeah.
I haven't.
I have like 4 or 5 guys that I play with regularly, and every night we try to do one base, and then we're going according to Tyrant Slayer's rules in this setup, and every time we get one base that has a drone detection.
I only have one glitch currently, and my glitch cannot be fixed. I cannot fix it. I have tried every way possible to fix it, and I cannot fix it. I have one of my, I think it's probably my visual palette number 2, I think it is. I have Rosebud's helmet stuck on my character's head, and I cannot take it off. It will not let me remove it.
Well,
So that it
It's a
just won't
public
go.
safety feature because you're ugly.
Well,
Mean.
could be
Okay.
that, but it just won't go. It doesn't matter what I do. You try and change the helmet. It doesn't matter what you do. Rosebud's helmet comes back, and you cannot get rid of it. And it's really annoying. I know some people might think, well, that's not much of an annoyance, but it is, because I like to have 5 different skins, and now I've only got 4 because that one's lost because I don't like it. I can't do anything with that skin at all. It just automatically defaults back to what it is.
That's
I
funny
never
you
even
mention
chose, but I never even chose Rosebud's helmet. That's what annoys me. I never even put it on him. It just appeared on him.
Well, we had the
The
same
helmet
issue on
that I had on-
Xbox, but with the beret. That was
Really?
a long time ago.
I have another one. I have another one with the daily missions where it says go find a truck, go find a squad, or go find this antenna, and then there's nothing there, but you can see the green dots.
Yep. I've had that
Yeah.
happen.
Well, what
Yeah,
that
that
is,
would be,
that is
helicopter one.
that's a desync issue with the servers. So what I've noticed is, because I always play with the team, as soon as a member leaves, they say they're done for the night, they leave. That's when those things start to happen. So I leave the squad and I call everybody back into a new session, and we create a new session, and it all goes away until someone leaves again.
Yeah, but I've had 4 guys in there, and we're all looking at the green dots.
Yeah,
where the
that's
squad
exactly what happens
supposed
to
be.
us. Yep, if you run off to the side about 300 meters, so you're not spawning back in right where the bad guys are, leave the team, and then call them into the new session that you created by leaving the team. That dot issue will go away.
Okay.
Well, look,
I think
before we start winding this down, we have got someone who wants to jump in and quickly make a comment. So I'm going to, let's bring him in. And we've got You're in a Wolf, so you're on You're in a Wolf. If you want to make a point quickly, we're just coming towards the end. So what would you like to say?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me here. So you guys were talking about how people are complaining about not being able to have the raid weapons because there are so many people that would not like to play the raid but would still like to have the weapons, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I had this thought a while back, and I did a podcast of my own, which I still haven't had time to work on it, to edit. So back in Wildlands, I remember someone pointed out to me that there was a game mode on there called Mercenaries, and that was basically a battle royale mode. Is that correct?
Pretty much, yeah. It's kind of a battle royale.
It's kind of an overrun,
Okay.
or
So
defend the flag.
my idea is to kind of do, and I don't like battle royales overall, just because they're all basically the same. But my thoughts on getting raid weapons without doing the raid. What if we had a kind of a battle royale mode in Breakpoint for an update sometime in the future, so that way people can get it as a reward if they win, without needing to do the raid? Do you think that would be a good idea?
It's an interesting
I
one.
think they're all good ideas
Right.
at this point. I don't understand why
Yeah.
they don't just throw them into the store and charge $1.99 for them, and that way people can get the guns that they want inexpensively, and they end up making $2 more than
Right.
they would have off this piece of shit game.
Well, look
Right,
at Red.
and-
Look at what
yeah.
Red Right Hand just said a minute ago. That if they did a raid pack with all those weapons in it and all of the gear in it, he'd pay $45 for it.
46
$45?
Yes.
I mean, that's a little steep, though, isn't it?
I
Yeah,
mean,
but
No,
just
I'm
for
saying
raid weapons?
every
You
single
get
item.
all the raid weapons, though.
I think $25. I think if they put it up for $25,
Yeah.
The Mark
they
II
might
if
buy
it's
it.
$25
5.
I can definitely see happen, because I mean, it's hard enough as it is to get people to do the raid with you, because not everyone wants to do the raid. Some people are good at it, some people won't. Some people have already completed the raid and gotten it, everything, all the black boxes, the weapons, everything, and they're like, you know what, I could do the raid, I'm just not feeling up to it. And you just keep asking the same person and they'll just blatantly say no. So why not have a mode where you have an option to unlock a certain weapon? Maybe they could do something like what they have on Halo Master Chief Collection, where they have like seasons. Like, you don't pay for the seasons, they're free, but you can go back to a previous season and unlock something at any point in time you want.
Well,
Like, that's something they could probably do.
real quick, I really don't have an argument in this conversation, but for those who are going to listen to this entire thing and get to this point, I will plug Havoc Gaming's channel, and through his channel, try to find his Discord. It's Havoc Gaming. The A's are 4s. If you're looking it up on YouTube, you know,
Okay.
I've ran with him a few times, him and his crew. His entire Discord is basically people raiding. Xbox, PlayStation, PC. It's people raiding all the time. If you want to raid and you want to actually try to do it and get these items, find Havoc Gaming on YouTube and then join his Discord. Guarantee you'll start doing it.
That's cool. And
that is-
even on our own Discord as well, we've got, and obviously Havoc is on our Discord, but we've got Rob C on Twitter, not Twitter, Twitch. He runs every platform, so Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. And if you come on and people want to get through a raid, Rob will take anyone through a raid on any platform. And
Yeah,
he's
well-
very patient, and he'll run people through it over and over again if you want to. If you want to do it multiple times, he raids pretty much every single night. I know that Havoc will run people through raids as well, but I know he's PC only. So if people are on console and they want to go through the raid, jump on the Discord, and Rob will happily take you through it. He's a good guy.
both of
Yeah,
these,
I don't mind helping people every now and then.
both of these guys both have how-to videos on how to raid, and then like you said, Havoc's Discord is is raid continuous. I mean, you can look any time of the day and you'll see 4 or 5 people in there. They even have
Yeah.
voice comms just for raids. I mean, he's got multiple channels for raids.
Yeah,
Yep,
while I might not
100%.
be
So there's, if anyone wants these weapons, there are multiple ways to go and get them. But will they end up in the store? Maybe, probably, maybe. But at the end, I think it'll be at the end of the game when it's all finished. They might do something, and they might put them in the store, but give them some crazy skins or something, maybe just to make them look different. I don't know, something like that. But this game does have problems, but we're discussing it, and people might think, Christ, all you guys are just so negative. But I don't think we are negative. We see the potential in the game and get frustrated by it.
I'm
I think
tired at this point. I
Mhm.
think it's and it comes off as negativity, but I think, and maybe a lot of us too, it's tiring, man. Just like what you said, Bullet. You see the potential in the open world. You see the potential in Ubisoft's developer talent. Maybe not the people who are actually coming up with the ideas, like whoever sat there and said, "Hey, man, looter shooter robots is the way to go for the next Ghost Recon." Like maybe those people didn't know what they were doing, but the development team is good. Like they have good developers there. And I know that they are making games like the Mario game. This is Ubisoft Paris specifically, right? They're making that Mario game that we saw at Ubisoft Forward. They make Just Dance. Like you said, it's a big team. They're making a lot of different things. Maybe they don't have a lot of people on this project. For all we know, Tyrant Slayer could speak to this. Maybe they have a lot of junior devs working on this product so they could learn the Anvil Next engine, and they have a lot of the senior guys doing other things, and maybe right now it's kind of on the back burner. But it is what it is. Sometimes I know it does come off as negative, but like I said, I think I'm just tired, and we just want to see Ghost Recon and the Ghost Recon franchise just be to
Skyrocket.
be to where it should be. It should be awesome. It
Well,
should be an
G-Money,
awesome
where
squad-based tactical shooter.
you're talking about these other games. I mean, one of the things that genuinely worries me going forward about Ghost Recon is the fact that they are probably going to throw thousands of devs into their new Star Wars game. They're gonna-
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well,
They're definitely.
They
gonna throw
are
out-
going to throw
That's-
so much
That's a
because
make
it's
or break
open
game
world.
now.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, and here's why. I don't know if Ubisoft Paris has a lot of snowdrop engine, snowdrop engine,
Snowflake engine.
snowflake engine. I don't know if they
They've
have a
got
lot
loads
of
of
snow.
those.
I don't know if they
they've
have a
got
lot of
bunch
devs who know
snowflakes
snowdrop.
they can
It's just
Yeah,
stupid
well,
snowflake.
you know what? The truth came out. Too many snowflakes. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if Paris has a lot of snowdrop guys because they, Paris, Montreal, Quebec, a lot those three they pump out Anvil Next products. It's really just massive that I see using Snowdrop. And now I guess Red Storm, which is going to do Heartland, I'm assuming is on Snowdrop as well. So I'm not sure if maybe they'll have guys try to learn it, but it takes a long time to learn a new engine. So I mean, yeah, it's something to
Well-
think about and consider definitely with Avatar, big name blockbuster, Star Wars, big name blockbuster, to really hire people to really help out these other studios like Massive.
Well,
When it
I
comes
think
down-
just to add on to what you're saying, G-Money, I think I'm a little on the fence about this, and I just thought about it. Like, I'm not sure about this idea right now, but I think what would be a good possibility, something for Ubisoft to kind of think about, would be what if they make the future games, maybe the dev team and everything, make it open software or open source, so that way we can get
Oh, we're not
more
getting
people on board. Yeah,
Oh.
more people on board to code and develop and
way.
stuff. So
Nope.
that way, you can get people who want to get into building something good and assist more. Like, what if you had
They're there-
someone?
they're there to
It
make
goes cool
money.
like
Open
Arma, but they're
source
not
is
going to do
not.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Like Arma and Battlefront 2, the original one. Yeah, I don't have that
Yeah,
much.
not only that, but the licensing.
you know,
If you use open source software in a commercial game, you basically have to open up your source code that uses that to the community.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just figured maybe it would be an idea that Ubisoft could think about, so they can get some extra help instead of just being so, confined with what staff that they have. That way, they have extra help from other people who do develop themselves, whether they're part of other companies or maybe they're freelance. Maybe get some help though, so that way they can push things out a little bit closer and get something done quicker with less bugs.
Well, with all the studio closings in the last couple of years, I don't think there's any shortage of developers out there.
Yeah.
One of the reasons
People would
why I
help.
mentioned Star Wars is because I thought, do you know what? Star Wars is going to make them money. Let's be
Oh,
honest. If they make a decent enough
That's gonna be their
game,
cash cow.
and people have
Yep.
been asking for an open world Star Wars game for as long as I can remember, and we've never had one. I know
Well,
that
there
one
are
was
3
in
of them that I know
development.
of.
Well, we
Well,
had Galaxies.
what? Yeah,
Well, there's
I
KOTOR games,
mean-
and then there's the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic games for the original Xbox and PlayStation 2, and then there's the Old Republic, which was an MMORPG on PC only, but it's free to play. But those
Yeah.
are open world.
But I think we're going to get an open world game in terms of stylization, in like Wildlands. It will be
Right.
open world like that. In terms of you'll just get this one big map, and you can free roam it, and there'll be side missions, and there'll be that they'll do it the usual Ubisoft way, but in a
Mhm.
Oh,
the rumor
no.
is that it's going to be based around the Mandalorian. So
Yeah,
I'm
I was
assuming
gonna say if they
that's
do like
the
a
rumor.
Mandalorian
It's going to be a
space game,
Mandalorian
it's
game.
gonna make a lot of money.
That's
A
the only thing
lot
that's
of money.
making
And
me
They
money
will make
now.
loads of money, but it worries me because they know they're going to make a load of money off of this. That
As
Mhm.
fast as
are we
possible,
even going to
that's
get
the
another
case.
Ghost Recon? Are they going to go, look, why
Yeah.
bother?
Yeah.
Why bother
Well,
making another
we may
one?
not. I mean, look, no matter how you cut it, Star Wars is a big thing. It's teetering on the edge right now. This could be make or break for Ubisoft. They will dump tremendous amounts of resources into it because they absolutely have to make sure that it lands. Because if it
Yeah.
doesn't land, it's big trouble. If you think Tom Clancy fans are a pain in the ass when you wrong them, you ain't seen shit.
Oh no!
The
Yeah.
Star Wars community
Coming
will
from
eat them
someone
up
who
and
is
And
a
spit
Star
them
Wars
out.
look
fan,
at what
we noticed
look at what
things.
Disney did. EA is a massive
Oh
company,
God.
and look how massive Disney is.
Awesome.
When all that shit happened with the last Battlefront game, Disney went to EA and said, unless you fix this, we will take this franchise off of you immediately. And all of a sudden, all the loot boxes, all that stuff was gone overnight. Gone.
Yep.
And that was because of the power of Disney. So Ubisoft will know that they can't fuck this up, or because it will be taken straight off of them if they do.
Well, with the
Yeah.
other franchises pretty much basically being dead now, they can't afford to fuck this up.
Wasted 2 hours, dude.
Well, I mean, a
From
lot of the
someone who
Tom
is
Clancy games started out in the early
No,
2000s, and
like-
they've been kind of, I don't want to say beating the dead horse, but I mean, there's really no other way to put it. I mean, the Tom Clancy games as a whole have been around since the early 2000s, since late 90s, and they're still around, but there aren't that many people playing as there used to be back then.
And there are no visible leaks.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But anyway, look, we've come to the end. We're about around 2 hours, I think someone just said. So thank you everyone for watching. I do appreciate it. And I would like to personally thank Gmoney for coming on, giving his time to jump onto the podcast. Thank you so much, dude. Really
Yeah, man. Thanks for
appreciate it.
having me. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. I do appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. Always like to listen to what you've got to say. Thank you to everybody else, of course, for jumping on as well, all the usuals and some of the new people. And thank you for everyone for listening. So just down to Grandpa 8 up to take us out.
This has been a Bullet Catcher Gaming Podcast. Join us next time for another exciting episode. Just watch and join us. The Discord info is in the description. Like, comment, and subscribe. We're signing off.